A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a hit to the body that causes your head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. This sudden movement can literally cause the brain to bounce around or twist in the skull, stretching and damaging the brain cells and creating chemical changes in the brain. What you might not know is that these chemical changes make the brain more sensitive to any increased stress or injury until it fully recovers.
This is a concussion. A concussion is a type of brain injury. You can't see it. You may not have a bump, a bruise, or even a scratch on your head. All that has to happen for you to get a concussion is for your brain to move around inside your skull. You don't even have to get hit on the head. A jolt or hard slam to your body can make your brain bounce back and forth against the inside of your skull. Getting a concussion doesn't always mean you get knocked out. Less than 1 in 10 people who get a concussion ever lose consciousness. And you can get a concussion in any sport or physical activity, even skateboarding, biking, or snowboarding. The number of sports and recreation concussions every year could be as high as 3.8 million. That's more than the total number of hairs on every monkey ever shot into space in the last 50 years. So what do you do if you feel like you've got a concussion? You could have symptoms like confusion, headache, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, or a general foggy feeling, like your brain has a bad Wi-Fi connection. It's important to report it to your coach, your athletic trainer, your parents, or even a teammate right away. Otherwise, you may end up like Mike. Mike played football. Mike was the team's star player. But after he got a concussion, he continued to play as if he was okay. Bad idea. Since then, things got kind of funny. He thought he was fine, but Mike started having headaches and had a hard time doing the things he used to do, like playing video games. Mike should have told his coach, athletic trainer, or parent and got himself out of the game right away. If you think you may have had a concussion, it's important to see a doctor or a medical professional with experience in sports concussion and not return to activities until they say it's okay. Your brain needs to rest in order to heal. If you don't rest, you could wind up like Jessica. Jessica was an all-star softball player, straight A's, busy social life. In her last game, Jessica slid head first into home plate, and her coach took her out of the game because she thought she got a concussion. But she didn't make the right decisions after the game. She didn't get checked out by a healthcare professional, tell her parents about her symptoms, or take the time to rest her mind and her body. Pretty soon, things got weird for her too. Her social life suffered and she started to forget things, like her date with her boyfriend. So if you don't recognize a concussion, report the symptoms, and take the time to rest, you could miss out on a lot in school, in sports, and in your social life. Concussions can make you moody, too. You might get angry, cry, or act just plain weird for no reason. And you may not even enjoy doing the things you used to like doing. Take the time to rest up completely after a concussion. That may mean no driving, TV, internet, texting, or video games. It's not fun, but it will get you better faster. So, if you think you might have a concussion, remember to 1. Recognize. Know the symptoms and signs of concussion for yourself and your teammates. 2. Report. Tell your coach, athletic trainer, or parents about your symptoms. Get out of the game. Staying in could make it worse for you and your team. And 3. Rest. That means taking time off from sports, your usual activities, and maybe even schoolwork until your doctor or other medical professional says it's okay. But don't worry. Your teammates will step up while you're out, and your teachers can help you. Check out the website for more info on how to get over a concussion and get back in the game.
My name's Brenda Keene. I am a mother of 2 daughters and a nurse, and also have a survivor of brain injury within my family. We came home from the ER. She spent the next day in bed, and I think the following day she went back to school and just really started with regular activity. And within a couple weeks, things were really getting bad. She was having migraines and regressive behavior where she would act as though she was 5 years old, and impulsive things like taking people's books. And I was like, is this a teenager? Is this just regular teenage behavior or what? I think the very first point of contact in the emergency department where people can say, this is what you need to look for and stay alert for this. And if we had had that and the information that Project Brain provides, things would have been completely different. We would have gone down a different course. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was wrong.
I can remember thinking to myself, because I had done so well till then, but I remember thinking to myself at that point, is this as good as it's ever going to get?
Is my child going to be normal? Is my child going to be like they were before? And how long are we going to be here? The answer when they first come to rehab is, I don't know. Really, nobody knows. Most recovery is in the first 6 months, but then it means that in the first few weeks is very early, and our predictability is bad.
I woke up from a 4-month coma, not knowing who or where I was or what had happened to me. All I knew was that my world had completely changed. Now everything was hard.
I remember waking up in the hospital one night and not knowing where I was.
How far is she going to be able to come back? And not knowing that made a lot of the days a lot longer, a lot of the nights a lot longer.
I was praying to God, if this is a dream, let me wake up, and I didn't wake up.
Well, he just didn't talk, and he was incontinent, and he couldn't really walk, and he was just like he was in this fog, and sort of this robot stage.
People come out of a coma, they often are not aware that they have problems. Many of them will insist, I'm just fine, I can do all these things, and then fall down. One of the paradoxes is the family members remember how sick they were, how long they've been in the hospital, all these terrible things that happen, and the person doesn't. While they're in a coma, they don't remember any of that. We'll tell them, you've come such a long way, but they don't know that because they don't remember where they've been.
When the child leaves the hospital, they very often enter school just a few weeks later. And it's important to understand that they don't change from one setting to another without some help. It's also very important to understand that this child who is now experiencing different feelings and different ways of thinking still remembers the child that they were before the injury. They expect to come back to school and have everything be and feel like it was before.
Well, when I came back to school, it was starting of my junior year, and I was sitting with Kristen, and I was scared to death. I was shaking, and when you're a junior, you're an upperclassman, you shouldn't be scared.
And then he went back to school, and things were fine for a while, and actually that whole year.
Everybody had heard I had been in a car wreck. There was rumors that I had died.
She was back enough to herself that they were going to allow her to go in the school system supervised.
He went on back the next year, which was this year, and we had a big surprise come October.
Because they'd be like, how are you? And I would say, well, I'm fine, but I'm not all there yet.
Things started to change in school and get more difficult, and he was showing short-term memory loss and some hyperactivity. He started to display these obsessive compulsive disorders like tics.
We had people at the school system that wanted to fight that didn't want that. They said, she looks okay, she shouldn't get any special treatment. And those people didn't understand the day-to-day things that we'd been through.
The teacher started noticing, sending home all these notes, and that's when we realized we were going to have a problem.
It's kind of like having a bunch of labeled blocks stacked up against the wall, all in order. Then somebody or something comes along and smashes into them, knocking them everywhere. All of the blocks are still there, but it is hard to retrieve a specific block out of the mess that's left.
I couldn't remember where I had been 10 seconds ago, or if I had went and brushed my teeth or whatever, and I hated it.
So, you can imagine what it's like at school dash remembering stuff about the Roman Empire and past participles and the Pythagorean theorem.
She was really upset. She said his behavior is very bizarre. She'd never seen any kind of child act like this before in her life.
That can be a real tough issue, figuring out, what is the brain injury and what is the child just being a child. I think a lot of it's a combination. What's important, too, about understanding the disability is not to excuse some of the things that the kids do, but to understand why they're doing it.
It was just like a roller coaster ride, because we would get called, we would get called to school to the principal's office. Andre had been disruptive in class.
And the mistake we'd made was we thought, okay, he's okay. We won't really tell her that he's had this brain injury. She probably knows. And so she really had not any understanding of a brain injury at all.
Well, what did Andre do? Andre laughs out all the time. Well, that's part of a brain injury. Then we would have to, sometimes that wouldn't be good enough.
And here's Tyler, very above average student, does really well. He shouldn't have any problems. And it was kind of funny, during one of the sessions with some of the medical professionals we talked to, one of the neuropsychologists used the phrase, "Please don't hold my child's good skills against him."
It's very easy to label a child and label him by his behavior and not by who he is. Chances are, if you've been a teacher for 10 years and you're a really good teacher, you've had behavior kids in your class before. Now you understand why the behavior is as such, and you go with the repetition, the immediacy, the consistency. So what you really need is a master in caring. You don't need a master's degree in special education.